I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.
Hey guys, this is going to be another adult content warning for this bonus episode. We started out just basically trying to discuss that Doctor Strange was going to have an edited section, or the movie was going to be banned in other countries, and we ended up talking about the socio-political concepts of culture and government within those countries, and then even talk about some of the severe things that have happened, at least within China. If you are, once again, remotely sensitive to any of these topics, maybe skip this one, but we do get pretty heated in this, back and forth, and some very hefty things are actually discussed. So, on with it. Alright, and this has to tie into the fact we just saw Doctor Strange. In other countries, specifically China, Saudi Arabia, I think Turkey, somewhere else like that, there's a 12-second chunk of the movie that possibly has the entire movie banned if they don't just edit it or clip it out. And all it is, no joke, is depicting a same-sex marriage.
Just like they did with the Harry Potter thing, they'll just clip that part out. They're not going to ban the whole entire movie. Disney and everybody's not going to leave that money laying on the table.
No, but also the fact that they were getting this pushback so close to the actual release date may have hindered when they wanted to drop it, so they will have to edit the version that would go out to these markets. But it's literally, and no joke, Mike can attest to this, he saw the movie too, it's a stupid little piece of the movie that is, while it's an important, a very minor but important thing, it's not even bad. It literally is.
They did the same thing with episode 9.
It's just a gay couple. That's it. Yeah, you're right. They did, and that's even shorter than what happened here. You know, that was literally a blink and you miss it.
Celebrating just like a quick peck on the mouth thing, and it was they canceled that thing out.
This doesn't even have kissing. It's just literally two moms together. You know, it's America Chavez has two moms from her universe. They show her two moms, and she says, "Those are my moms." If they remove the context, then they have no reason to be mad. There's no kissing. There's no nothing. It's just two ladies standing together looking at her.
Just blur out her saying that with ADR or something.
Now the other thing, I don't know if is the other thing that might piss them off. She does have a pride flag pin on her jacket the whole time. And I don't know if that pisses them off.
Well,
but
there's a couple of elements going on here about this whole thing, right? First of all, the character itself was retconned. Her actual origin in the Marvel comic was actually retconned, right? So you got a lot of SJWs to thank for that whole thing, right? For the reason why she's portrayed the way she is in the movie, right? Second of all, China doesn't want that shit shown in their country. Neither does any Arab nation.
Yep.
Because it fundamentally goes against everything that they believe in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they don't mind blowing up people and killing them. Just don't show same-sex marriage.
Well,
That's bad.
exactly.
that too, yeah.
Well, that too, yeah.
And don't talk about what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims. That's not important either. How dare you even bring that up?
But you know,
give us the Olympics, please.
Here's the thing. I don't blame them for not wanting that in their country. That's their belief. And as another culture, right? I am not going to bitch and complain about their ideology, right? If that's how they grow up, and if that's what they fundamentally believe should not be shown, then who are we to, Disney?
I disagree with that because we were raised.
No. I know. But I mean, what I'm saying,
fundamentally believe that was wrong.
Who is Disney?
We don't live in that fucking world anymore.
No. But I mean, who is Disney to, try to push it anyway on them, right? Say, well,
then just let the parents not take their kids to the movie if that's.
Well, it's not even about parents. The government said, do not show that here,
right?
It's not people outraged. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off there, Mike, but it's not like the public is outraged about it. It's the government of these countries that said you can't show that here. Like, and that's yes,
Yeah, but
well, this is going to be a part of what we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But the idea that here
what do you mean talk about here in a little bit, man? We're almost 4 hours in already.
We are barely 3 hours, but we were going to talk about the whole Twitter free speech thing. But we're not going to get to it tonight, obviously. But well, we could. I don't care. I don't have anywhere.
By the time we get to it, it won't even be free speech.
Actually, we're not exactly. It won't even be free speech anymore. It's literally the next topic. So that's the fucked up part. Either way, but the point is, other parts of the world, while they don't care to see said things that their culture doesn't agree about, it's okay to go the other direction, though. They're okay with pushing their culture on other countries because they don't give a fuck. But when it comes to showing anything that they don't like at all, one of the largest corporations on the fucking planet has to bow down. Now the thing is, whether it's just a simple
to you to make you feel comfortable in our country when it should be you adapting to our lifestyle. Like if
it's their country, that's one thing.
If you're moving to Canada or the United States, we have our culture.
But no one moves to Canada.
If you do not like it, get out. We don't need you then, right? I should not have to modify the way I've been living. My culture should not have to accommodate to every little whim just because you feel uncomfortable, right?
Well, that's the same for them, though, right?
And the same way should go in reverse.
Okay, yeah. So, and I get that, but the point is, ultimately, I think we went down a different route necessarily, but it doesn't matter. I don't know what the outcome of it was. Like, I don't know if they got Disney to change it. I mean, it's been a week since then.
Disney's definitely going to change it. They're not going to let billions and billions of dollars sit on the table in China for a 12-second clip.
Disney is not going to change it because of the way Disney stance is right now, especially with those leaked videos that came out a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you that's bullshit because they literally moved the entire movie schedule around because there was a pandemic happening in China. So they wanted to make sure that those people weren't going to be dead. They'd be willing to go to the movies and spend their money. They'll definitely cut out a 12-second clip.
But here's the thing, though. Hold on. On that point, though, Ricky, we've already seen that Disney and Marvel specifically have made movies that directly go against what China likes and or wants. They give a big middle finger. The Eternals are the big middle finger to China. Shang-Chi was in between.
That Finn be eliminated from their posters,
That too. And I get that, but that's also Star Wars, not Marvel. Marvel is
no, but it's
Disney. But Disney is Disney.
But no, but what I'm saying is, like, things hold different ways to go about it. They've done things that China doesn't like, and they didn't kowtow. But the thing is, with this, because it's all a voiceover, the thing is, they don't even have to cut it out of the movie. All they have to do is remove the context, and China's good.
That's still deleting it from the movie. It doesn't matter if you can physically see it. If you take out the words "these are my moms," you've still deleted it from.
And I get that. If they said,
yeah, you could say this is my mom.
But
this is my
the point is, I'm saying they don't have to literally
this is my
cut
mom
it.
And her roommate. What is this? 1980 on NBC? Get the fuck out of
here.
Well,
the thing is, okay, even if they removed just that part and you didn't see it, it's not. Well, I guess technically it is a part of the movie that, it does come back later. But, like, the actual scene they're bitching about is a very short scene of her mom's. It's her origin story. It's America Chavez's origin story of how she got where she is. And it literally shows little baby her and her two moms. And then stuff happens. And the whole scene is 12 seconds. Like, and the only way you know that those are her moms is a voiceover that says, yeah, these are my moms. So, I mean, if they wanted to literally change that line, mute it, I don't care what, fine. Change the...
I mean, this is 2022. How fucking dumb is it that this is even a conversation?
Well, because, like Mike said, it's a cultural problem. And not every culture is on the same planet.
You think there's no gay people in China? Y'all are fucking ridiculous.
It is a cultural problem.
That is literally a cultural problem.
It's not... No, but it is.
It's their culture saying we don't support that.
That's not true. It's their government saying our culture isn't allowed to
Ricky,
voice this.
Ricky, their government is their culture.
The
That's
thing
not
is
true.
with Islam
And Islam.
is their government, it is their way of life, it is their religion. Everything about Islam encompasses everything about their society.
Homosexuality is allowed in
It is
Islam.
religion,
Not,
it is the way they
it's
do
not approved
business.
by zealot Islamics. It's not the same thing.
Not all Islam is the same anyways, Ricky, and it depends on
No,
which
no,
country you go to that makes it different
But the
as
point
well.
is it's their belief, and they do not want that because it contradicts their belief. So it's not really the government per se.
So the same
I was
guys who are
specifically
nailing
saying
little-
China.
Even though it was the
so
government
the same
saying
guys who are nailing little boys because their religious text says they can't cheat on their wives with another woman, so their loophole is to nail little boys.
Or goats.
No,
Is saying that they're
I know.
not
Or goats.
okay with gay stuff. Okay.
I
Okay.
know.
Well, fuck them then.
I
Don't let them see
didn't
the
say it
fucking
had
movie.
to make sense. I didn't say
They
it
can
had
go
to
fuck
make
themselves.
sense.
They don't got to watch the movie.
Well, they don't
Yeah.
want to watch the movie for that reason, so it is
Yeah.
what it is.
And let them go fuck themselves. They can miss out on all the cool She-Hulk fucking shit that's hidden in the movie. They can go fuck themselves. Fuck them. Fuck China.
However,
Okay.
now here's a little twist though. However, in Pakistan, they're gonna let Miss Marvel in, and they're gonna let that run.
Well, because that's directly cultural related to them.
And
Yeah.
Miss Marvel's not gay though.
No, that doesn't. Yeah, but he's talking about just
No.
the show itself.
But the little teacher that she has the interview with in the beginning of the episode, near the beginning of the episode, is figure that one out.
Oh, sorry, you left that hanging. I thought there was another point. You said it literally is gay. Okay.
Oh,
I was like, yeah. I was like, wait a minute, what? Okay, yeah, no.
Yeah, I was waiting for it to drop too. I thought his mic cut out or something.
No, I didn't. I thought he was continuing on with that build of it. It's just like, no, that's just what I meant to say. And then we're like, oh, context is gay.
So
okay, but no, you're right. You're right.
That one out.
But it's just
Man, fuck all them countries, dude. Man, fuck all of them assholes.
Ricky.
Let them
Not everyone has
Let them
not.
go back and fucking watch spaghetti westerns. Fuck them.
They like those too, but
Yeah, good. Let them stay watching that shit.
But
it's diversity.
Ricky, it's diversity. You can't. You can't.
If it's
you can't fault.
diversity, then they should be allowed to say that they're not allowed
We
to
have to celebrate our
diversity.
diversity, Ricky.
Y'all are sitting there saying it's a cultural thing. Bullshit. If the president of the United States stepped up right now and said you couldn't watch this movie, you're going to tell me, well, I guess it's our culture. We can't fucking watch it. Bullshit. They're the government. They're not our culture. Bullshit. It's
That's
their
because
government,
our
not their
government
culture.
is not a part of our culture. You're talking about completely different
That's
countries
not
that
true.
don't.
They're Americans that are in the government. They're
Ricky,
literally part of our culture.
Ricky,
No,
you don't
but Ricky,
understand
the thing
that
is-
culture and government are the same in a lot of these countries, especially
That's
China.
right.
China
I
is
think you're making an assumption. They're
No,
not. The
this
people
is
in
not
China are
an
okay with
assumption,
being
Ricky.
held under a communist
Ricky.
regime. They're not okay with it.
Ricky.
It's not their culture.
Stop.
In
You're
the
wrong.
Middle East, in the Middle East,
No, I disagree with you. That does not make me wrong.
No,
Any
you
more than
are
makes you
wrong.
as invalid.
When it
No,
comes
but
to
no,
these
it's
things,
not.
it is the same.
No, it's
It is.
No,
You're basing it
it
off
is.
of cultures here. This
In
is
the
not
Basically,
representative of
culture
anything
being-
else.
Being a group of people and how they live. That is a culture.
Yeah.
Not the government that runs them.
Yes, it
but
is.
Not the same thing.
Ricky,
No,
stop arguing. You're
Chinese-
wrong.
First
Is
of
that-
all, don't tell me I'm wrong. I'm not wrong because it's not the same thing. Chinese culture is not the same as a communist government. That's not the same thing.
No.
Because guess
No,
what?
that's
Chinese
true.
culture was
That
there
is true.
thousands of years before the communist fucking government. So
And you
don't
know
tell
what
me
the
I'm wrong.
communist government
They're
does?
not
It
the
has a
same
department
fucking thing.
of culture, which tells
That's
people
right.
what they are allowed to fucking do.
That doesn't
and
mean they're
say-
part of the culture. That means they're running the culture. That's not the same.
They are
fucking
running
thing.
the
That's
culture,
not the same
Ricky.
thing.
They tell the
But that's
culture
not
what
their
it can and
culture.
can't do.
But that's not their culture. The culture is the people. The government is the government telling them what they're allowed
And
to
do
do.
you know
That's
what
not
that
their
government
culture.
does when people step outside of the culture they're allowed to have? It makes them go away.
Yeah, but that's still. But you're
That is
still-
the government
I'm
telling you
disagreeing
what
with-
your
I'm not
culture
disagreeing
can
with you.
be.
I'm not disagreeing with you what the government does or doesn't do over there. What I'm telling you, government and culture are not the same things.
Not
Yeah,
everywhere.
but not the same.
There it
But in
is.
the case,
No,
listen,
because even if you use like the Islamic countries you were talking about, like Saudi Arabia and stuff, the government isn't the culture. The religious aspect of their government is part of their culture. That's not the same thing as saying their government is their culture.
Not the government is their culture.
Because
Their government
if you
sets
took
the
all the
culture.
like, let's say all the religious people that are in charge over there were no longer in charge. It was just normal politicians were in charge over there. Their culture doesn't change. The fact that that's the government doesn't change that it's the government. It's just no longer controlling the culture because it's not run by the same thing. China is totally a different aspect than the Islamic countries.
Yeah,
The Islamic countries
but
are
the thing
run
is
by,
they have the same root when it comes to their religious
yeah,
beliefs
they're all
that don't
Chinese when
allow
they're
certain
born.
things in. But the point is
Chinese does
here,
not have a religious belief that says they can't have homosexuality. That's
no,
not
but
how it is
that's
at all.
why the government is a big chunk of their culture and tells them what there is allowed to be.
That's not
Basically,
their
the government of China is
So
forming.
what you're telling me is all Germans are Nazis because the
No,
Nazis were the
I'm not
government and
talking
that's
about
their
Germany.
culture.
Well,
But you
no.
see, I'm saying, well, I'm just using that as an extreme. It's not the same thing. Whoever's sitting in power is not the culture just because they're from that culture. They
No,
are a
no,
communist government. They
yeah.
are not the Chinese culture. They are
Yeah,
trying to control
that's
what the
right.
Chinese culture is allowed to intake. That is not the same thing as saying that is their culture.
See, but here's the thing,
Joe is
Ricky. Here's the
Chinese. He
thing.
is not communist.
But no. But here's the thing.
No,
Here's the thing. We're not talking about people. We're talking about culture. You want to say that culture and people are the same thing. People make up a culture, but culture has to be influenced into people. When the government that is in charge of those people is telling you what your culture will be and controls what you can see, say, do, breathe, eat, leave your fucking house, the government
But that
runs
doesn't
your
change the
fucking
culture.
culture.
It's
No,
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 your
you're no,
culture's
no,
still the same. They're controlling how you present it and what you're allowed to intake. That doesn't change the fact that you're part of the
Ricky.
Chinese culture.
You understand that what you're allowed to express becomes your culture. You can say that
Mm,
there's a culture inherent underneath it that should come out, and fine. You want to say that Chinese people elsewhere who still celebrate the old ways and still carry on the old way of Chinese culture?
so if I was to
Yes,
go over
that's
there
a
right
thing.
now and if I was to just take all the Chinese government and
Uh-huh.
drop them into the ocean right now,
Hmm.
you're telling me the Chinese culture doesn't exist anymore?
No, I'm telling you the Chinese
Then it's
culture would
not the
actually
same
come
thing.
out. What I'm telling you is that the Chinese government is controlling the culture. See, here's the problem. Here in the US,
I'm agreeing with
no,
you.
no,
They're controlling.
listen,
See, here's the
listen.
thing. I'm
Let me
agreeing that
finish
they're
my fucking
controlling the
point,
culture. I'm just
Ricky.
saying they're not the culture.
Ricky, let me finish my fucking point before you talk over me. In the US, politics is downstream of culture. Our culture dictates what politics is going to do. People here make the decisions based on what people within our culture, whatever that might be in the US, because we have a giant multicultural fucking democracy, which is a giant goddamn problem. Our policies are dictated by our culture. China is the other way around because of their communist government. They are
I'm going to say
told,
that part about the American culture is not correct, and I'm
no,
going to
that's
use one thing.
100% true.
Remember,
It's
okay,
100%
media.
true.
Listen,
then you're telling me then how come there's a law that allows abortion when there are fundamentalist religious people whose culture says it's wrong to kill babies?
Because other people are louder.
But the other culture, see what I'm saying? So the
here's
government
the
is
thing.
not picked by the culture.
But that's
In
You know,
some
it.
countries, media forms the culture.
That's a good point
This
there.
goes back hundreds of years, right? Due to certain ceremonies, certain beliefs, certain cultural trends, right?
Oops.
That end
Don't
up
turn that.
prevalent in certain forms of media. This ends up being, culture one way or another, right?
okay, let's
Yes.
be very stereotypical of
And,
let's use the Chinese culture. They use
and
chopsticks to eat with. The
in
Uh-huh.
government can
communist
control what they're eating with the
China,
chopsticks, but they're still using chopsticks to eat
no,
it.
no, no,
Do you
I know,
understand what I'm saying?
but the thing is, in communist China, okay, it limits certain aspects of their culture, right, to control the population to do what they want, right? The culture is still there, it's being limited, right? Now, in Middle Eastern countries, okay, where Islam is very prevalent,
Excuse me.
okay, it controls pretty much every aspect of their lives,
Yeah,
from
literally all day.
from what times they have to pray to
when they eat.
how they do their commerce.
That's because their
how they
government is
govern,
led by the
how they
religious
govern their country.
people. That's
Yep.
that's different.
Okay,
The
so hold on.
But that's,
So
but
that's
this is what
saying
I'm
the
talking
culture
about,
literally
right?
dictates
So
the
their
culture and religion are the
is
same.
dictating.
I said that with the Islamic one. I said I didn't
Okay.
agree with the Chinese.
Right. However, Chinese government, right, is saying our culture is this. We are not allowing this in because we are saying, we are dictating what the culture is. And we will not show fancy pants little girly boys anymore. We're not going to be showing like this homosexual content that's coming in. We're not going to be showing you this. We're not going to be showing you Winnie the Pooh because this goes against every culture trend or belief that's going on in China. So the government is trying to dictate what the culture in that country is.
Which I agreed with. I agreed
which they are doing
the
that.
government is
Now,
controlling.
now
That's what I said. I mean, you can rewind this and play it back to yourself. I literally
so,
said that. What I'm disagreeing with is you saying the government is the culture. It's the same thing. It's not. It's the government
but that's
controlling
the
the
thing.
culture, which is
The
different.
the government in China is wanting to be the culture. The government pretty
No,
much
the government in China is wanting to be the Russian culture, the communist culture. It's not the same thing.
well, I mean, I wouldn't say it wants to be the
Well,
Russian
okay,
culture.
how about in Korea then? Because
It just
literally their government is their religion and sets every single thing that's allowed to exist within their
precisely,
country.
But
precisely.
that doesn't change the fact that they're Korean, which is their culture.
Yeah, but their culture is literally set by
Well,
whoever's in charge that
it's
is their god.
more their
But
ethnicity.
You got to separate ethnicity from the culture aspect, and the culture aspect
no,
is
because
whatever
you're
you're
trying to
allowed.
attach culture to government, and I'm saying that's not the same. Culture and
Because culture
ethnicity
and
are more
government go
closely
hand in
related than
hand,
culture.
Ricky.
It
No,
depends
it's not.
on the
Here
society,
in
though.
America, I just proved you wrong how that's wrong here.
No,
Just here alone,
I
that's
told
wrong.
you how it's right. I said
I can go
culture.
knock on my neighbor's door who's a fundamentalist Southern Baptist, and he'll tell you that our government's fucked because they allow abortion.
Yeah,
I'll go
you're
knock
talking about
over
a
on my
person.
neighbor's house that's 20, that's 25, and is like open to all new modern ideas and totally on the left hand side of everything, and knock, and they'll say our government's fucked because they allow that Southern Baptist to have a voice. You see what I'm saying? So the government is not our culture. Our culture is the many things that we're made up of inside of our country. The government is what tries to control all that stuff. It does
Okay,
not make the government our
but that's
culture.
because you didn't listen to what I said. I said politics is downstream of culture in our country. Politics, government, is run by whoever has the loudest voice to demand what they want. And then politics comes in at that point to start making policies based on whoever's got the loudest voice. Whichever side you're on, whether you're for abortion or against abortion, you've got a side
I'm
for
just
that.
using that as an example. I'm not stuck
I
on
know,
that. I'm
but
just saying
I'm
I'm
using it as the same example because it is a current example. But the point is,
Mhm.
here, politics is downstream of culture. That has been a long set standard. In a lot of Western countries, that is a standard because we have the ability to vote for the people we want in charge who also think similarly to us. So therefore,
Technically.
no, that's what we do. That's why it's called representatives. The president is not the government. The government is supposed to be the fucking people we voted into place to
Right.
talk out what
By the
we
people, for the
want
people.
by the people for the people. But it's not
But
about the
the
president.
problem with our electoral system is the electoral colleges because
Yes,
the
but
rule says
I'm
they're
not.
supposed to vote the way we
But
voted.
we're
They
also
don't have to.
that's also talking about presidents, not your representatives, not your local city, state people that you vote for
Right.
on a local level. But the point is, all of those people who are supposed to go do their job in government are there to represent the people who voted for them. It's
Right.
all downstream. So you vote for what you believe in, or it's what you're supposed to be. It's not a popularity contest. You find out who shares similar values to you, shares the same culture as you, and you put them into place to hopefully get your way in government. So in our case here, because of our elective systems, our politics is downstream of our culture. In other countries, such as those, the culture and the politics are either hand in hand, such as the Middle East, where they're literally religious leaders are the government, essentially,
Yeah.
depending on the state whichever state you're in, just depending on the Muslim state or whoever, whichever way it goes. Because sometimes it's a little bit different. Sometimes you have a separate political leader versus religious leader. They're two separate things, but they work together, generally speaking. One is more on the setting policy side and working actual government stuff, and the other one is just the religious leader. Sometimes that happens. In China, it's not like that because they have this massive dictatorship, which is one of the most absurd things on the planet, but they want to do it. They set themselves as gods. They put themselves with all the power, all the money, all the control. And they tell people what they are and are allowed to do. Now, if you want to say that the thousands of years of Chinese culture, all the things, their language, their art, their architecture, their chopsticks are all part of their culture, I'm not going to argue with you on that. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm getting at the idea of the connection between culture and politics. Their politics are telling their culture what can and cannot be, and filtering out anything that they don't agree with, which means their culture, as in modern concept of culture, is dependent on their leaders and their media to set what they are allowed to see, do, and be. So in their case, their culture, modern culture, not talking about established billions of years or whatever, is downstream of their government. Yeah. Because that they literally have the Department of Cultural, the exact name I can't pull off the top of my head, but they have departments that literally set what the culture is. They also, in every institution, every business in China has a government representative sitting there making sure that it stays on track to what the government has set. And if anything new comes down the pike, you better get in line immediately or to whatever is considered gulags.
See, it's a
different world.
Bought like about 90% of Hollywood, right? Mm-hmm. Because they want what Hollywood has, which is worldwide influence through their movies.
Yes.
But, and this is the reason why they bought most of Hollywood, but they want to make sure that with them owning it now, most of it, that they followed that they dot their I's and cross their T's, because they know that if they can insert their message into a Hollywood blockbuster movie of some sort, that it can keep those in line still in China while producing a quote unquote foreign movie from America, from Hollywood. And because China likes to get their grubby little fingers into it, and because, like I said, they own about maybe 90% of Hollywood now, mm-hmm. they're raking in lots of dough worldwide.
So that's actually, that's another good point, is that in setting culture, because that's a thing that is important.
That's right. Because if those people in China see that, oh, this is a Hollywood movie, and they're spreading this kind of message too, which is the same kind of message that we're hearing in our community wherever in China, right? So then they start to think that their culture is essentially fundamentally like all other cultures around the world. That same message is being, that is a common message, when all that it is basically is Hollywood or the Chinese government saying, we need this message. You have to have this message in this movie, or else we won't show it. And then you won't get your money.
Or you have to have a certain set number of Asian characters in a certain movie, or it has to be set in a very specific Asian city, and you have to. Okay, what movies? What was it? Red Dawn.
Like look at the new Red Dawn, Top Gun Maverick movie that's going to be coming out really soon.
Exactly, they changed the flags. Yeah, right? Exactly.
China made a huge stink because a Japanese flag was flying in the background, and they said remove it.
And Taiwanese, if I remember correctly,
and Taiwanese too, and they said remove it. And what did they do? They removed it from the trailers.
Oh. I'm gonna make this point, Ricky. If you want to tell me that Chinese culture is strong and alive, Taiwan, 100%. Taiwan is China, as it was culturally always meant to be.
Well, look at John Cena. He totally kowtowed
There's
when he
that too.
said that when he said that they were a country.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, and
Yeah.
he spoke it in perfect Mandarin.
Well, really badly broken Mandarin, if we're honest. But I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
like,
you know.
you're not wrong in your opinion, obviously. But like the idea that,
So
hold
So-
on, let me finish real quick, Mike.
go
Let me
ahead.
finish my thought. So you're definitely not wrong, technically, but
No,
the connections between government and culture are extremely varied from where we live. We live in a mostly free society that is mostly left alone by its government, and we're supposed to be the ones who tell the government what to do based on our cultural wishes, whether that's on the extreme local level, like your own city, and you're voting for school board, to make sure you get the right kind of people and the right kind of curriculum in your schools, or if you're voting for your representatives going to Congress, which is a big deal because those are the ones who actually make the laws that do change things in this country, such as abortion. But when you come from a country that is not remotely free, they treat their people as slaves. They treat their people as prisoners. That's a wholly different thing.
yeah,
When control is more important than the basic amount of freedoms, then your culture is dead, like as it stands. You might still be alive,
your
and you might.
culture that turns artificial.
Yes. Oh, that's a good point too. Also, when you're told what your culture is allowed to be instead of letting it grow
Yeah,
or exist as it used to, then it's dying or dead as it is. And then when it's the government who's specifically telling you that part, then it is a massive problem. And this is the problem with China being able to make these demands. Like change these movies, switch these flags out, eliminate this black character from the movie poster, because we have to. They're at this point they're saying that they want the rest of the world to set to their cultural norms
yeah.
and bow to what they say is the way the things should be. And you
Not
need
their cultural norms, though. It's their governmental rules.
Ricky,
It's
Ricky,
not the same.
this is why I said, okay, it's the government of China saying you're not allowed to bring that in here because of our culture.
Period. Because of our rules. Because of our rules.
And-
We're the government. We're
Yes,
telling you it's against our rules, not our
Be-
culture.
Because
Our
their rules are trying to make the culture.
But it's not working. It doesn't work that way. You go over to China, people over there in China, there's gay people in China, transgender people in China, lesbian people in China. They don't
that
care that the
depends
government says it's not
Where
okay.
in China, if you're in Hong Kong, they are sort of allowed certain liberties, not much.
Hong Kong's a little different, but yeah.
Hong Kong's its own country outside of
Mainland
China.
No,
No.
you are not allowed. You are disappeared. You are
Yeah,
removed.
we're not talking out of our ass. If you come out as gay and they know that, they're gonna do all of those terrible things that they did to people here in the 40s and 50s when you came out as gay. They're gonna they live in a very different world, and that is and I'm not and I agree with you that is a terrible fucking thing. I'm not arguing
If you
that.
are a Christian, you are gone forever.
That too.
They're starting to do it with Muslims that try to creep in for the past 2-3 years now.
Okay, yeah. So
we've been doing this kind of stuff even to Christians that want to practice freely.
yes, they
And any church that is allowed by the government, even those messages that so-called preachers preach from the Bible are
edited.
heavily reviewed.
It's exactly
before
what they're allowed to
even
say
preach to
and
a
do.
congregation.
Let me
All right, cool. So China's not gonna watch fucking Doctor Strange. Let's go on to the next thing.
well, this has become a whole new topic. We don't have time to get to the real big thing, but it also plays into the concept of what we talked about. I mean, it does lead into the Amazon conversation, but we don't have time for that. We're already at almost 3.5 hours. But I did want to ask you, though, just real talk, though, Ricky, though. Do you know about what's going on with the Uyghur Muslims in China?
The what?
Uyghur Muslims.
The Uyghur Muslims.
Uyghur?
Yes, that is.
I've never even heard of a Uyghur.
Okay, so let me tell you what's going on over there. Because it's a truly serious thing. This is not me mocking you. This is nothing. This is a true facts that no one is allowed to fucking know because the Chinese government won't let it out. A lot of people do know this.
Yeah, you know because it got out.
because it does get out, because some people do manage to actually tell the stories, but the people who tell these stories from China, they are disappeared.
That's
Anyways,
correct.
it is a sect, a specific sect of Muslims from China. So the Uyghur Muslims, that's just what, I guess that's a region.
Yeah.
And it is actually a set, kind of a race, if you want to put it that way. Like they're separate from the rest. You know, it's almost like its own little area.
They're kind of like close to Afghanistan, Pakistan, around there.
Exactly. Exactly. It's further west, right? So
Yeah.
the thing is, they have rounded up as many, if not all, of everyone that has ever identified as a Uyghur Muslim. They put them into several, if not one massive concentration camp. They have separated the men and the women. They are chemically castrating all of the men.
Yep.
And they killed all the children. And they are raping and purposely impregnating the women to make sure they wipe them out as a culture and as a people and as a race. Because they are so xenophobic and racist and everything, and against anything that is not specifically their boundaries that they set, that they are literally wiping these people off the planet. It is actually a modern day genocide that is happening right now as you and I are talking on the fucking internet right now in China. No shit, on the other side of a fucking ridge from where they did the fucking Olympics last year.
Yep.
No,
That's true.
I am not joking. Where they did the goddamn Winter Olympics was over a fucking mountainside from where this was happening. And not a goddamn person did anything about it. And it was allowed to fucking be on TV, to have the fucking Olympics pumped out to the whole goddamn world. Look at China. Look how fucking awesome it is. Look at this modern country. Fucking genocide happening 5 goddamn miles from the Olympics.
And like I said, they've been doing this to Christians for like 30, 40 years before that. And nobody said a thing.
Yes.
Nobody.
And all I'm saying is it's not their culture, it's their government.
No, this is what I'm telling you. The government commands what their culture is allowed to be, even to the point that someone of a different culture living in their country, who has every right to live there because they always have, are being eliminated because of what their new rulers have dictated. As always through history, any empire comes in and takes over.
History.
No, it's all the way through history.
No, it's the
Germany and the Holocaust. Because if what you're saying is true, then there would be no Jewish people left because the culture was wiped out, and that's not how it is.
And you know what happened?
Yes, they didn't change our culture. We still did the same shit. We still
they
celebrated
were
our.
stopped.
We just got in trouble and killed for it, but it didn't change the culture. The government did not change the culture. They tried to force it, but the culture stayed the same. But the government still made their rules and did what they wanted to do.
But you know what? I'm going to tell you this because, like I said, my mom's German, my dad's Austrian. Oh, it affected the German culture.
It affected the German culture because they were represented by a shitty damn government. That's not the same thing.
But what I'm saying is as a result of what happened, right? The German culture, more or less,
is a lot more apologetic now than it used to be.
Yes, it's apologetic, yes, but also it's been used also by the government to manipulate the people of Germany to guilt them into letting all these quote unquote immigrants into their country, which has been causing a lot of problems in Germany.
Yeah. I was wondering where you were going with that. You're right.
You don't want to be like
you don't want to be like the Nazis you used to be. You better let all these people in. Yeah.
You don't want to be what our ancestors did and treat the Jews badly. And now look at all the problems that are going on all over Europe. Right.
Okay, you missed my point on that. There were people born in Germany that lived in Germany that were also Jewish and practiced the Jewish culture living in Germany as the Nazis came to power. The Nazis became the leading government of Germany. The Jews did not stop doing their culture. So
No,
what
they
I'm
didn't.
saying is,
Yes, they did.
these are Chinese culture. No, they didn't. They most surely
I
did
don't
not.
mean
That's why they were
permanently,
gassed.
but you definitely hid
No,
until they started
yeah,
killing you.
but they still did it.
And what did?
They hid and tried
That's
not to
right.
get murdered by the government, but they didn't change their culture because of it. What
Yeah,
I'm
but
trying to tell you is the
you're talking
Chinese
about
culture
the.
was there.
If
What
anything,
I'm saying is, okay, listen to me though. The Chinese
yeah,
culture was there before the communist government came into power.
Mm-hmm.
The government is in power right now, telling them they can't be that way.
Yeah.
Guess what? When that communist government goes the fuck away, the Chinese culture is still going to be there. So the government and the culture are not the same. The government is trying to control the culture. That is not the same. That's all I'm saying. If you rewind back way to the beginning of this conversation, you both said the government is the culture. And all I said was, no, the government's trying to control the culture. Those are two different things. Those are two different things.
I
The
don't think
government
they
is
are.
not the culture. They're trying to control the culture.
If the
That's all
government, if
I'm
the
saying.
government dictates what the culture is, the government is the culture.
No, the government dictates what the world sees the culture as. Those people over there that don't agree with the government are still doing their own shit in private, just trying not to get caught doing it. That means their culture has not changed just because that government's in power.
Well, we're not going to see eye to eye on that, so it doesn't matter. But the point is, these people who are the cultural leaders, the people who are in charge, are the ones making the decisions for anyone and everyone else, including people in other fucking countries. So they are
So
directly
they're not going to
affecting.
get to see Doctor Strange. That's all that matters. They're not going to get
Yeah,
to see
and
Doctor
I
Strange.
don't I
Or
don't care
Disney's
that they
going to
don't get to
choose.
see Doctor Strange. I would rather us say fuck you, change your ways, or you don't get this movie, and we're gonna be just fine without you. And I'm fine with that. Give a big goddamn middle finger to China and everything that looks like China, or at least the communist government of China, I should say. Let's just be that
Yes.
honest. But here's the thing: do you think that there aren't going to be radicalized people? Because there are those people who definitely like exactly what
Do
happened.
you think that if Disney puts out a cleaned up version in the Chinese government,
Mhm.
they put out a cleaned up version that the Chinese government agrees to?
Yeah.
You think there's people in China that aren't going to see the American cut of that movie?
I don't know. They're not
well,
really. You understand that things are not
on-
No,
allowed
no.
freely.
In Korea, maybe, but that's a very small country.
You talk
Very,
Korea?
very much.
No, you're
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
see fuck all. Korea doesn't have the
That's
internet.
what I'm saying. I just whoa. Before you try to tell me I'm wrong, that's literally what I said. In Korea, you won't see that stuff because that's a very small country being run by
Oh,
that
it sounded
huge government.
it sounded like you said it the other way. Sorry.
No, it's because you want to tell me I'm wrong. But listen,
No,
that's
no,
not
I
what
heard you.
said.
I thought you said it the other way around.
What I'm saying in China, as big as it fucking is, with almost half the world's population living in there, the likeliness of them stopping the American cut of that movie getting in is slim to fucking none. I don't care what that government
Well,
says.
it won't come in under the normal means for sure.
They'll do the same way.
But-
They'll do the same way we all watch it. It's called a bootleg. But instead, they'll have English.
Well, no,
subtitles
here's the problem. It has to get there first to be bootlegged because the bootlegs come from there.
yeah.
It's like the bootlegs come from there. So how do we get that otherwise?
Ugh. Anyway,
Most of them do. Are you going to argue? That's how we get bootlegs early?
I've
Because
never gotten a bootleg from China. I've gotten a bootleg from the dude down on the corner at the Abu Dhabi store. I never got one.
where did he get it? Because it was shown in
I
a
don't
foreign
know.
country first,
Yeah.
Probably.
and they do
But
it
not
over there.
Chinese, 'cause it was Korean on the screen, not Chinese.
I mean,
so.
well, if it was Korean, yeah. Well, see, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. If they're not even, if all they do is change the fucking subtitles to change the context, I mean, yeah, you can still be mad that they did it at all. But the point is that like that at least doesn't have to edit the entire fucking movie. That's
But
just
there's
literally
people
one
that-
word.
Look, most educated Chinese understand English. So even if the subtitles say something different, they'll still understand what they're saying.
In
Oh, yeah.
general, that should be a thing. Yeah, that's the way
Yeah.
it should be. But then again, who knows if it'll get showed over there anyways? Because they're locking people down. They're locking down entire fucking cities. So who knows? They might put it off for fucking 3 more months, and after another 10,000 people die and they lie about it, then they'll just show the movie at the cities that aren't infected currently.
Yeah.
My thought is don't change nothing. Fuck them. They don't need it. And the other side of that is they'll get to watch it anyways. Just like we watch shit 6 months before it's supposed to be out and watch unedited versions and shit like life finds a way. You know?
I think Winnie the Pooh should just be removed
gonna-
from power, but that's just me.
There you go.
It's gonna happen.
There goes our
they're gonna
podcast.
see the
There
movie.
goes the entire podcast for that one line. Watch them.
Change
They'll
your
nuke the
government
entire thing because I said that. I
about
meant
it.
literally. We're talking about Disney. I'm talking about Winnie the Pooh directly. Like, he's always hoarding the fucking honey, causing problems for everyone else. Like, they always got to get his ass unstuck from a tree or a doorway or something because he got too goddamn fat from the honey, or he did something really stupid and threatened Piglet's life. And then Tigger's just stupid and useless, I guess, for the most part. And then Eeyore is my favorite character because I totally agree with everything of his life decisions. And then the pretentious ass
I hope
owl.
you're cutting that whole long conversation out of this one, man.
I'm not. That's going to be the
Silver
dangerous conversation. Anyways,
I don't know.
no, that's going to stay. That's going to be the bonus. It's like, well, it wasn't going to be the bonus. Now it's going to be the bonus.
Far.
No, I'm leaving that in there. I don't care. The dangerous conversation, because it needs to happen out there. Because one, I'm not going to cut out the whole point of the Uyghur Muslims because more people need to hear about that. Because
No,
most
not
people,
that part.
yeah. But I mean,
Because
I'm
I hadn't heard anything about that. That's super fucked up.
dude. Okay, so everything that they were doing to the Jewish people, I'm going to cut this part at least. Everything that they were doing to the Jewish people.
Yeah, we don't want them to hear Jewish.
Well, no,
That's
because
the bad
I'm just
part.
saying because
That's
we're
the part
going.
I want to cut
No,
out.
because
Fucking
shut up.
asshole.
Like a vote.
Super anti-Semitic around here, right?
Mhm.
Hey, my grandparents were victims of Nazis too. I completely understand. But
So were mine.
but the whole idea is like
The German and Jewish side.
all the terrible things. Mine weren't even Jewish. They were just in a different fucking country, and they said, "Hey, we want your shit. Get into a slave camp."
No, I had Lorbers in the concentration camp. So
Yeah. So, anyways, what all the things that the Germans did to the Jewish people, whether it was just the concentration camps, whether it was the mass murders, whether it was the crazy scientific experiments, which also happened on non-Jewish people too. That's how my first uncle died, because they took him away the moment he was born. Went and did a whole bunch of medical experiments on him.
Everybody misunderstands the Holocaust. It's not all about the Jewish people.
No, I know they don't realize how far it goes.
The Jewish part is talked about more because that's half
exactly
the number of what he did. But it's 13 million people is what he killed in a 6-year time span.
Yeah. But I forget, I don't know the exact number. I mean, it's at least a couple million probably Uyghur Muslims. It's not a giant population to begin with.
no.
But the fact that they were chemically castrating and enslaving the men, forcing them to do whatever slave labor they need, and then literally raping the women to dilute the bloodline. You know, this is literally
That's some Mongolian Genghis Khan's level shit.
Oh,
yeah,
don't forget the organ harvesting.
Organ harvesting. Yes, thank you for reminding me of that, Mike. Yes, the organ harvesting, so they can do more scientific experiments or just put that shit out into the black market, whatever they want to do with that. So they literally doing anything and everything they want to these people because they see them as less than human.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.